confidence feels good, but clarity really protects the owner. So once I knew that, I'm not a coach, but I started just listing some things. I said, well, you'd have more time to spend with your family. You could travel. You could have some hobbies. You could possibly invest in another business. You don't run it, but you could be an investor. And I could just see his eyes light up, and he started getting excited about it, because it was no longer about, I'm just tired, I want to retire, my health is maybe starting to wane a little bit, and I want to see how I can get out of this business. But when it came down to, I can still be engaged and invest in other businesses, he got really excited. And then we started getting serious about the work we were doing.
And hello, my friends, and welcome on board. My name is Derek Fennell, and I'm your host on the Next Gen podcast. And you're right on time for takeoff, so take your seats, fasten your seatbelts, and sit back and enjoy the flight on the Next Gen podcast. Welcome on board. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Next Gen Podcast 1, where leadership, strategy, and clarity come together to help people build what matters most. I'm your host, Derek Fennell, and before we begin, I want to ask you to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Here's why that matters. When you like and subscribe, platforms like YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify recognize this conversation as valuable and show it to more leaders and decision makers who are actively searching for insight. And when you share it, you'll help someone else discover perspective exactly when they need it. And today's guest works in the intersection of leadership, strategy, and human insight, helping organizations and individuals navigate complexity with intention. Renita Wolf is the founder of Poor Wolf Partners, where she helps leaders and organizations align visions, decision-making, and execution in a way that creates lasting impact. So Renita, welcome to Next Gen Podcast. How are you today?
Good, Derek, and thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
We're excited to have you on board as well, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity of interviewing you. Okay, so Renita, what we will do is let's just start right at the beginning of your journey. What experience led you to create Poor Wolf Partners?
Well, I had spent most of my career working for Fortune 50 companies and founder-led companies, working in senior finance roles and CFO positions. Mm-hmm. And much of my work included mergers and acquisitions. And I always knew, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I always knew that someday I wanted to have my own business. And fortunately, I got to the point where I was able to do that. And that's when I launched Poor Wolf. So now I use that corporate experience to help founders prepare themselves and their businesses for transition, and particularly to maybe sell their businesses if they're thinking of a way to get out and want to retire from their business and realize the value that they've built over the time they've had their business.
Okay. So, Renita, was there a moment when you realized leaders were struggling because of lack of effort or because of something deeper? Why would they want to sell their business? When did you realize that moment?
Well, a lot of founders and business owners right now they've built a successful business. They've been in it 20, 30, 40 years, and they don't know how to get out of the business. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of training and resources that are available to help people start a business, but no one thinks about eventually when the value that they've created, how can they realize that when they want to exit their business? So there is a need in the marketplace for owners mm-hmm. and founders to be able to prepare themselves and their businesses for their eventual exit so that they can really enjoy what they've created as they enter the next phase of their life.
Okay. You're absolutely right. Nobody ever talks about exiting very much.
Yes.
You might hear a little snippet about how do I exit my company, but very rarely do you hear hear anyone speaking about that. Now, how did your background shape the way you approach this strategy today?
Well, you can imagine after 30 years of experience, I have a great depth of knowledge. So things that I just think are intuitive aren't. They are things that I've learned. So I know that I have a lot to offer owners as they prepare to leave their companies, and I wanted to continue to be of service to my community and in general to entrepreneurs in this next phase of my life. So again, it's just the depth of experience that I have actually working on the buy side of the industry. And there's a lot of people on the buy side, but not, and people on the sell side, this is where the owners are. Typically, they're focused on the transactions. And I identified a gap of where owners really didn't have the resources that they need to get ready for this.
Okay. Now, for someone visiting Pole Wolf Partners for the first time, how would you describe the work that you do?
Well, I refer to myself as a founder transition advisor. I help founders prepare their business and themselves for growth, succession, or eventual exit. Talking about exit planning and selling businesses, most people focus on valuation and timing, and I focus on clarity because with the background in corporate finance and M&A, I've seen businesses that look strong on paper, yet left the founder personally unprepared for what came next.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm a big believer in clarity, because, often the most powerful work starts by making the unseen visible,
Yes.
And so I imagine that's what you do. You help them think about things that they would not ordinarily think about.
That's correct.
Yeah. So could you give us maybe a scenario or an example of how you were beneficial to maybe one of your clients? No names required, just scenarios.
Yeah. So I work with founders early before the pressure or the timing dictate the outcome. And so I help them shape their transactions or transitions, but while they're still in control. And one of the things I do different is I work early in the process before we get to the actual transaction if someone's thinking of exiting a business, and I work for the owner of the business. I'm not motivated by the transaction itself. So what that means is I'm a fiduciary for the owner. My business model and something that is really important to me is I do not participate with a commission when the business sells, so that when I speak to an owner, they can trust that what I'm saying to them is honest, based on experience, and what I perceive to be in their best interest, or at least to give them some options.
It's a really high trust value thing to have, that fiduciary relationship.
Yeah, that's really important. And also, I find that most owners, obviously they've been successful to be in business for 20 or 30 years. They know how to run their business. And unfortunately, some of them are overconfident in thinking that, I have a successful business. Anyone would want it. This is just going to be an easy thing, an easy transition for me, and easy for me to find the right buyer, not think of the other things, because they do not have depth or experience in the business of selling a business. And it is a whole different animal. I've worked with owners who they feel very uncomfortable. Many people who are working on transactions, for example, this is what they do as their livelihood. So they do this day in and day out. As for an owner, it's maybe a one-time thing in their entire life, and they don't have that depth of experience. So it's nice that I can provide someone representing them on their side of the table.
Well, that's a great segue right into the next question that I had. And that was what are some of the problems clients usually are facing when they first come to you?
And this is surprising. So one of the biggest issues I see with owners, and there are a few others, but one of them is, and I find this is really at the essence of why many people delay working on preparing their business. And they don't know what they're going to do. They've done this their entire life. They've been successful and they think, oh, it will just happen and everything will work out. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. So first,
I can raise my hand on that one.
Yes, preparing themselves. But that's the thing that's not talked about. But that is the essence of the biggest issue. The other things that are maybe more tactical is they've delayed developing their succession plan and people who could run the business without them being present. They like to feel in control and in charge. So what happens is they are involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. Things are running well. However, if the owner leaves and isn't available, that doesn't help somebody who's going to be interested in possibly buying their company one of these days, because it really needs to be able to run without the owner present for it to be a successful transition. And then also other tactical things. I work with owners on just looking at their business with an objective eye. And as I said, I'm a fiduciary working in confidence, being very confidential and private with what I say to the owner, but they know that when I say something and give them real perspective. So for example, their financial statements. Some owners, they've had maybe a couple of years or recently acquired a large client or a business partner, and they find that they've made a lot of revenue. Their P&L statements and income looks really great. However, if it hasn't trended over time and cannot be sustainable, that would be less attractive to a potential buyer. So that's simply an example of when we start really pulling back the pieces of looking at the details in their business. I can help them get some perspective and help them focus on what's most important to begin work on so that they can prioritize how they spend their time.
Well, I can identify with that first statement that you said, and I used to own a mortgage business, and when I, sold my business, I didn't know what to do next. I was just lost. And you've been working for yourself for the last 20 years, and I just did not know what to do, and especially when you're doing a business that long, it's obviously it's like your baby.
Yes. Yes.
And you just can't go out and find another baby like that you just love to be involved with. So yeah, that's a very important.
Yeah.
Two very important things, that and the fiduciary thing. Now, why is clarity such a critical component effective leadership, in terms of just having that clear clarity? Why is it?
Well, being able to be honest with themselves and looking at their business with an objective eye. And that's where I can help them get that clarity around their business. So when you really boil it down to the most important things that need their attention to be prepared, I can help them do that. So that helps. And that's what the clarity is that we're speaking to. And Derek, I've been speaking a lot about exit planning, but this is a lot more than this. This is actually transition planning. So an owner may say, well, I'm not thinking of exiting or leaving my business behind, and this isn't something that applies to me. And I say that that's not true, because an owner should always be prepared to leave their business. I look at it kind of like life insurance. It protects their company, their family, their employees, their community, because something could happen to an owner. I was CFO for a startup technology company where the owner was killed unexpectedly in an automobile accident. So unfortunately, those things happen. People get sick, people lose interest, things just that we aren't expecting do happen, unfortunately. And it's always best to have the business be prepared to be able to continue with the owner not present. Because like I said, generally there's a lot of people depending on that business, their family, their employees, their vendors, their customers. And if one day they're not there, all of that goes away and can leave people in a really difficult situation.
Yeah. So let's expound on that just a bit. So really what you're speaking about is being in alignment, right? in
Yes.
in alignment with yourself, your family, your employees. And when you don't have that alignment, it quietly undermines performance and morale. And
Yes.
can you talk about that a little bit? Just
Yeah.
like it
Well, I
like like if I'm I'm planning to leave my company and my employees don't know about it, right? Then
yes.
all of a sudden they just learn you got new
Yes.
management, new owner,
Yes. Yeah.
and so do
Well,
you do you when they transition, or do you help the company when they sell that company to the new owner? Does your fiduciary relationship end at that point, or do you help the company transition into the new ownership in a smooth way to help keep the employees' performance and morale high?
yes. Well, that's dependent on upon the current owner and then who maybe will buy the business in the future. I'm always open to help with that transition. And I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of experience from
Mm-hmm.
buying companies when I worked in corporate. But you were talking about alignment. One of the things that I have a conversation that many people don't think about, one of the questions I ask an owner at the beginning is, who would you like to buy your business? And that may seem to be an odd question because the underlying assumption or the big assumption out in the marketplace is, oh, I want to get the most money for my company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that may be true, but an owner needs to be aware of what that means. It may mean that they're bought up and consolidated into a larger entity where redundancy in the company. So this is maybe where people's jobs are eliminated.
Mm.
The owner has no say in if there's an earnout agreement, for example. Sometimes that happens. Typically in service-based businesses, they may have no control over what that would look like for them because it's dependent on earnings when they're no longer in control of running the company. So they've
Mm-hmm.
lost a bit of control to be able to manage profitability for the business. So
Mm-hmm.
I do talk to him about who would they like to buy their company,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe it's not always about maximizing what they get, the check that they get at closing. There may be more to it than that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, thinking about barriers and blind spots, uh, what invisible barriers do you see that these founders have to deal with when they're trying to uh, sell their business, or are there invisible barriers that they have to overcome?
Things we've talked a little bit about it. I can dive into it a little bit more, but being able to separate themselves emotionally from their business. They are
Okay.
not their business. So being comfortable with that and
Mm-hmm.
being able to let go of the reins so that someone else can come in and take the business and run it and be successful after that. And the reason they would want to do that, first, they may still be invested in the new business. So they may continue to realize a return on their investment that continues into the new business, depending on the arrangement that's made with the buyer. They also, if they want to make sure their employees are taken care of, that's another thing that they can participate in. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the types of things that we're looking
Mhm.
at.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've been talking about clarity and alignment, and could you just share an example of when you saw that shift happen, when someone went from an unclear spot and it's like, "Well, that was a great idea, and it
Yes.
put them in alignment with
Yes.
what
Well,
your goal was for them? Go ahead.
one thing that surprised me, and this was early on when I started my business, but talking to a founder, and I was talking all tactical type things, which is what
Mm-hmm.
my depth of experience is in.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner got comfortable. I mean, I was running through this. We're looking at the financials, restating those, making recommendations to improve operations, those types of things. And we got to the point where he really he trusted me. And finally he said it out loud. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm not doing this. And that's when
Okay.
he was very confident running the business. The business was very successful. So I say confidence feels good, but clarity really protects the owner. So once I knew that, I'm not a coach, but I started just listing some things. I said, well, you'd have more time to spend with your family. You could travel. You could have some hobbies. You could possibly invest in another business. You don't run it, but you could be an investor. And I could just see his eyes light up, and he started getting excited about it, because it was no longer about, I'm just tired, I want to retire. My health is maybe starting to wane a little bit, and I want to see how I can get out of this business. But when it came down to, I can still be engaged and invest in other businesses, he got really excited. And then we started getting serious about the work we were doing.
Okay. Now, that's when you really you can see that alignment come into place,
Exactly.
the clarity. Yes. Now, so for you, what does a meaningful, successful transaction looks like in your work? Not just a surface level win, but for you, what is success looks like for you?
That I take away from it is being of service to a company owner or founder, because I know I'm also being of service to him or her and their family and their employees, and also the community, because in many situations, a lot of founders participate philanthropically in their local community and serve on boards of directors. So, by helping a company transition successfully, those things can continue. And then that is also part of the owner's legacy, that they built something and that it continues after they're no longer working in the business day to day. But me personally, and where this connection happens, is seeing that happen for the owner, and me being able to use what I've learned in corporate to help other people get through this very emotional and complicated part of transitioning over a business.
Now, do you use AI in your business at all?
When I left corporate, yes, I am a sole proprietor, so I do use AI, but very lightly, Derek. But where I find that I feel most comfortable and it saves me as I'm, managing expenses and looking at ways to be quicker and faster using technology, is I use it for copy editing, which I think is probably where most people start with working with AI. And that's what I'm comfortable with. But I'm able to share work faster, get things done, things that maybe were more clerical type tasks, using AI to copy edit. I come up with the ideas and then just have it smoothed over, because otherwise I would have to hire someone. And unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to be able to pay what copy editors charge. So AI is a great help.
Okay. Now, for leaders that are listening and who resonate with your approach to getting clarity and wanted to sell their business, so what's the best way for them to engage with Pope Wolf Partners?
Yes. Well, as you said, if the conversation resonated with your listeners, they can find me at powolfpartners.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. I share practical insights for founders thinking about what's next. I do have a newsletter. I do a lot of information sharing. So I offer a lot of free resources to people who are just starting to consider their transition. And as I said, that transition includes possibly staying in the business, moving it on to a different leadership team, or eventually exiting.
Okay. Now, and you say you have a newsletter. What's the name of your newsletter? Share with the audience your newsletter.
Well, I don't have a special name for it. It's just my biweekly newsletter where I share
so they would
information.
Subscribe? They would subscribe to you.
Subscribe, and then they can find that on my website or send me an email and I'll sign them up. I don't like to push it on people, but I do want to create value. So I do provide a lot of insight they may be interested in.
Okay. So I know you've been sharing a lot of information, and if you would just summarize for us, like what makes your approach different from, say, a traditional business seller? Is that how I would define your company as? You're
Yes.
not a consultant. Would you
How
consider
I'm
yourself a consultant or?
how I'm an excuse me, an advisor, and how I'm different than many people in this space is I work up market from a transaction.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, many owners are, and they get to the transaction, they think they're ready to go, and unfortunately, they may get in the middle of something and find out that they're not quite ready. So I help them prepare for that, so that when they get to the point of taking their business to market, they know they're as well best prepared as they can be. They have an idea of what to expect once they start talking to investment bankers and brokers and other people who may be interested in buying their company or help selling it, and
Mhm.
just getting them prepared for that and knowing that they are well prepared and
Okay.
ready to go. Most people participate in the space in the transaction itself. So I get involved before that.
Okay. So if you were to wanted to leave one main statement that identifies Renita Wolf's partners, give me one defining statement or belief that few people know or should know, and few people truly internalize. Like, can you give me something about Renita Wolf and Renita Wolf Partners? What do you want our audience to walk away from here knowing about you and Renita Wolf Partners?
Well, the one thing, it's always best to be prepared. Otherwise, for myself and for business owners, we may be forced into a situation that we weren't anticipating. So it's always best to be prepared. And I take that, what I've internalized as a value, and help owners do that as well.
Wow, that's awesome. So I have one last question for you, Renita.
Yes.
Are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker?
Definitely coffee. Definitely coffee. My husband and I laugh. We say we look forward to getting up in the morning so we can drink coffee.
Okay, that's so
Yes.
sweet, man.
How about you?
I became a coffee drinker later in life. In my former business, I used to, everybody I was around always drunk coffee, and
Mhm.
I was actually not a coffee or a tea drinker. I was more of an orange juice drinker,
Yes.
But since then, I started out drinking coffee. And what I would do is I would get coffee and I would put a ton of cream and a ton of sugar in it, and they would all laugh at me. And it's like, hey, you're drinking coffee and you're cream and sugar,
Yes.
But now I drink it straight black, just straight, just straight. So yeah, I'm a coffee drinker too, but I do have some tea every now and then at night when I want to just, calm it down. That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drink my coffee black, and my husband, I tease him. I say he has a little coffee with his milk. Not so much sugar, but kind of like what you were describing you used to do.
Yeah, exactly. So Renita, I just want to say thank you for sharing your insights and for the work that you do in helping founders and organizations move forward with their clarity and intention and alignment to what they're going to do next in life. And to everyone listening, if this conversation added value, please like, subscribe, and share this episode. Those small actions help conversations like this reach people who are searching for a better way to lead and decide. So to learn more about Renita Wolf and Pope Wolf Partners, visit popewolfpartners.com. That's POEWOLFPARTNERS.com. Pope Wolf Partners. And if you're motivated but unclear about your next strategic move, explore the Clarity System by Creative Minds AI, because we believe clarity always comes before transformation. I'm Derek Fennell, and this is Next Gen Podcast 1, And until the next time, protect your clarity, align your vision, and lead with intention. Thank you, Renita, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you. And to our audience, thank you for joining us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Okay. Wow.